You are all set.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, November 8th. I've been making so many mistakes with my calendar lately, I actually had to read the date. So thank you for joining us. Looks like we have a quorum here, but I'll ask Elizabeth, our secretary, to do a roll call at this point.
Okay. Andy Brucker,
Here.
Anna Eddy,
Here.
Laurel Goodgen,
Here.
Lisa Jones,
Here.
Pauline Krug,
Here.
Iris Larson, Leanne Mankey,
Here.
Neil Ryan,
Here.
Christine Schuchen,
Here.
Diane Stam,
Here.
Karen Benner,
Here.
Sheila Rowell,
Here.
and David Nagel.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So next on the list is public participation. James, do we have anyone on the public side of the call?
No one with us this evening.
Okay, no one yet. That's how that will go on. And then Town Council Liaison, Dave Nagel, do you have any news to share with us at this point?
As of tomorrow, the new council will be what do you call it? I lost the word. Sworn in. Thank you very much. That's a good way to start. At a from what I understand, a small meeting at Town Hall with friends and relatives. I don't know whether it's going to be broadcast. I doubt there will be anything more than that, but that's all I know at this point. Show up at 8 tomorrow with friends and the other elected officials and be sworn in and be greeted. Other than that, I have no further input.
Great, thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Iris Larson was to join us this evening. She has been having difficulty with her computer access, and we thought we had that figured out earlier in the week. So at this point, I'll skip over and assume that there's no report from the secretary, but if she comes on, I might choose to circle back. Approval of minutes, the last month's minutes. Did everybody get a chance to read through those? Are there any corrections or clarifications?
I have some corrections. It's Anna Eddy.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anna.
So one thing, in looking at it, I think it would be helpful going forward if Elizabeth put a header in on the document so that it reflects the date of the meeting. Because if these pages dropped, you would have no idea what they were related to, because all minutes look alike. If you go to page 2, there's no, it says page 2, but it doesn't say October 18th, 2021. So that's one.
So maybe on the page number have a date?
Well, it's in the header of the document. You know, you go in and you just set it up.
Okay,
So that the pages are all dated, so we know what they're
Right.
what, you know, when it happened. On page 2, under section 6, review of the activities, on one of the let's see, the third paragraph down, I think, the name Hanel is spelled incorrectly. It's spelled correctly up above, but down there it's spelled incorrectly. And then on page 7, I think page 7. On page 7, under fund development. So the second paragraph, I think fund development should be capitalized because we're referring to the committee. And then later on, see the last sentence says Anna suggested that the friends might want to consider. That should be a capital F because it's an organization. And then continuing on to page 8, the paragraph starts with Anna Eddy asked when the second recent newsletter is coming out. I'm not sure what that means, but Suffice it to say, asked when the next newsletter is coming out. And in the same section, Diane Stam, let's see. There was,
She has done instead
lost
of
it,
she haven't
huh?
done.
what?
Fundraising she has done instead of have done thus far.
Yes.
Yeah, there was another one. Wait a minute, I think it's under. I am sorry, I did not write down. I kept on writing what the corrections were, but I didn't make the reference. So give me a minute. So if somebody else has anything to add.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Laura.
Unless you already did this on page 7, under facility and site, did you say this should be the library's possessive request, not libraries plural? Do you see that, the second line of facility and site?
Section E.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
library's request is a private property owner. Probably should be capitalized too.
On that same page, page 7, while you're there, under 6B, or I'm sorry, 11B, committee reports, PEP, Laurel Goodgen said no report. Report is just misspelled, not a big thing, but report's misspelled.
Oh, and I found it. So I'm being a nitpicker here. On page 8, on the 7th line that starts with Diane Stam, thanked Anna Eddy for the fundraising she have done. I think she has done. I'm just being nitpicking here. Sorry, Elizabeth.
That's
On that
okay.
same page, there is under old business and the Newington Library 5K Challenge road race. It's the, let's see, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about the 6th. It starts with Diane Stam highlighted, Anna Eddy, Lisa Jones, and Karen Benner. Well, it's not Lisa Jones, it's Lisa Maston.
I have some. Can I jump in?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. On page 5,
And this is Christine. Please state your
Yes,
name, guys. It's
Christine.
hard enough for. a new
sorry.
people.
I have a very bad cold, so if you can't hear me, let me know.
Okay.
In the first paragraph where it says the Friends of the Library had an blank outdoor on Sunday. Had what? A book sale? I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
And then 1, 2, 3, on the 4th paragraph down,
I'm sorry, this is Anna. I don't think we can change that because that's verbatim from Lisa Maston's monthly report.
okay, well then, she may be theirs.
May I make a comment?
Laurel, go ahead.
Yes, I don't believe Lisa's report is part of the minutes. Her oral report is part of the minutes. Her monthly report should either be an attachment or given to us separately, the way we used to get it.
Agreed. We can
Thank you.
put it in as an attachment, but it will come to us separately.
It's only the part where she's presenting to us orally at the meeting, this part of the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, because I found a few problems, but go ahead.
Okay. All right, thank you, Laurel. Anything else? Okay, Elizabeth, that's baptism by fire. I know our meetings are not the easiest to follow, but you'll get in the groove with the words and the letters and the name. So don't sweat it. We can make some of the changes and updates here, and believe me, it'll get easier as we go forward.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
A second.
Anna?
Lisa Jones, second.
Jones, thank you. Yes, please, let's take it easy on the recording and state our names, especially when we're
Sorry.
making motions and seconding. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone in absentia?
Oh, I probably should have been. I wasn't at the meeting. That's Leanne.
Right. me and my-
Okay, motion carries to accept the minutes as amended. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Request of the annual activities calendar. A couple of things. In November, we usually talk about staff appreciation dinners, and we've traditionally done staff appreciation in the odd years. So we would have done it this year. Certainly with all of the COVID stuff going on, no one felt comfortable congregating in large amounts to do a staff appreciation. I've had some initial conversations with Lisa Maston and Karen about approaching the staff saying, what do you think? It's not that we don't appreciate you. Did you want to try and push for some kind of a venue now or a little bit later? And it, at the time, we thought that we would wait to see how things are doing in springtime. So I think we're still looking at that. And ideally, what we're hoping to do is something similar to what we've done in the past, where we've been able to have everyone together, enjoying an evening of conversation and having a dinner together or what have you to help facilitate that. So that's what we're looking at. As everything over the last couple of years, it's iffy, but that right now is our plan. We don't have dates. We don't have times going on, but we're hoping that we'll be getting there and that the world will be getting closer to normal as we go through from that end. We don't have our actual appointees yet. As Dave said, everybody is being sworn in tomorrow, and then the tasks and assignments for the council members will be settled at that time.
Diane? Lisa Jones?
Yes, Lisa?
When the new appointees are signed in, do we have, if they're different from the previous years, do we have an onboarding process for them?
We do. Normally, Lisa Maston, the director, will reach out to them and give them a tour of the library and the different materials and things like that. If that's
Got it.
something that you would be interested in joining her with, you can try to set that up.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
We usually offer that out to all town council members, even if they're not a liaison.
Okay.
Just so that they're more aware.
Sounds like a good opportunity for us to, get people engaged. So good, thank you.
That goes good. Friends book sale. I know they just had an outdoor book sale and the weather was lovely. If we have a lovely winter, who knows what the Friends will be able to pull off this year. And then we also have Hanel listed under there. And again, these are things that are staying pretty much in the to be determined category for the short term. One of the other things I wanted to bring up on the activities calendar is the possibility of moving our December meeting. Our December meeting is scheduled, let's hope I do this right, for Monday, the 13th, which is our normal day. However, our new secretary had a conflict. It's really hard to get new people on board and have their schedule match ours immediately. So she said that she was available on other Mondays, and I was checking a few schedules, and I wanted to hear if anyone could not make it if we moved the meeting to Monday, the 6th. That would be the first Monday in December. Is everybody free on that day?
Andy Brecker is
Free,
fine
probably
on
not.
that date.
I'm fine with that. The only concern I would have is I don't think I'd have the financials ready.
That's okay. They can come in the report, the next month. We'll catch up. Because if we have a meeting without Elizabeth, that means somebody has to take notes.
Oh,
Anna, I'm available on the 6th.
Okay.
This
it'll
Lisa
be-
Jones as well?
All right.
Available?
It'll be easier if I just ask, is there anyone who is not able to make that change of date?
So Lisa will be canceling the meeting then?
Lisa Jones?
Yeah, Lisa Jones.
Yes,
You had
I will.
issues? Okay.
Yes,
Could move it to the 13th.
that's right.
Okay.
Okay, then I would
Andy
entertain,
Brecker, do we have to vote on changing the meeting date to
right where I
satisfy
was
the
going,
town
Andy.
clerk?
thank you, Andy, that's right where I was going. So now that we've discussed it, I'd entertain a motion to change the date of our December meeting from the 13th to the 6th.
Actually,
I'll make a motion.
Diane,
Yes, James?
can I make a recommendation to the motion?
Sure.
Let's make it move to cancel the 13th and schedule a special meeting on the 6th. That way Lisa can post the cancellation. You'll schedule your special meeting for the 6th because we don't have the required 30 days of notification to change it to be a regular meeting.
Okay. So Leanne, would you amend your,
I will make a motion as to what James just said.
all right, let's take pity on Elizabeth. So the motion is to cancel the December 13th meeting and to call a special meeting on Monday, December 6th.
This is Lisa Jones. Says
Lisa, you cut out.
And she froze up.
Come back, Lisa.
Yeah, she probably realizes.
Frozen.
Does that mean that that will be a recorded meeting? Does this mean the December?
Yes, so Lisa, you're cutting in and out, so I'll try to answer this and hope you can hear me. So the December 6th meeting will be just as our normal meetings have been. It would be a normal monthly meeting for us. So it would be recorded, it would be on Zoom. Okay, I'm getting a thumbs up from her. So even though our audio seems to be flaky, she heard me. All right, and did I get a second on that? I'm sorry, I lost track. Leanne made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Oh,
Need a name and a second, please.
Laurel Goodgeon, I second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No one is opposed. The motion carries forward and we will be meeting again on December 6th. Thank you. Karen Benner, can you make sure that the right paperwork gets to the town hall for canceling one and doing the other? Maybe Carol can do it for us. All right, thank you. That's the end of the annual activities report from me. And we'll move on to the treasurer's report with Leanne Mankey.
All right, I won't rehash everything I sent out to you. It was busy in terms of lots of in and out for the account because of the race, as well as the end of Ready, Set, Go. So we did very well. Our current balances, general fund at the end of October was at 29,969 and 39 cents. The money market, which Dean is still evaluating the best way for us to shift that around, is at 106,975.34. Those are the unrestricted funds. The Santander restricted funds had no activity other than the minimal earnings of interest. The part that probably is of interest and to everyone is the results on our 5K. And we did very well, particularly considering that our runner numbers were down. Our net profit was at $9,828.45. I do apologize for not having this to you for October's meeting. It was a little bit convoluted because of COVID and the way things were done in terms of, we normally have our race in May versus October. Our fiscal year being closing in June, I had expenses and other thing and income spread out over 2 and in some cases 3 fiscal years. So I had to kind of play it around, but this is the tally for this particular race pulled in from those other years. The Ready, Set, Go. I think last year people focused their participation in the Ready, Set, Go versus this year, but it still netted $720, which is no small amount of change, so that was nice. We had a better month in terms of investments. The breakdowns is there. Neil can elaborate on that. The computer currently, and all the records are currently with the accountant to do the IRS filing. Once that is returned, and once we're done with that, I'm going to turn the laptop over to Scott Hoagland, who has offered to upgrade our memory, which will be extremely helpful. At least as far as I'm concerned, it runs very, very slow. So that way we'll be in a better place. He feels the laptop itself is very good. It just needs an upgrade in terms of how fast the mice are running inside. So we should be having that. I'm hoping to get that back for the end of the year, November and December. And I hate to make generalizations because there are no generalizations, but typically November and December are quieter months for items. I also have been advised by Bailey, our children's librarian, that she has booked a virtual SLEVA program. It's one of those programs that hasn't been able to happen over the course of the last couple of years. And I guess in March, she's looking to get it that will involve, I believe, 4 schools. So we'll be sending out some monies from there, from the restricted funds in that regard. I think, double check, make sure I don't have all my files here. And the SLEVA program is $1,800. So, which is right in line with what we usually spend. And I know the family likes to have something happen every year. Other than that, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know that the Sprint situation is ongoing. I'm waiting for the word to pay the bill.
Okay, I see Anna Eddy has her hand up for a question.
Not a question. I just wanted to spell SLIVA, S-L-I-V-A, for the benefit of Elizabeth, because it's probably a new name for her.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even think of that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, Anna.
Can you say that spelling one more time, please?
S-L-I-V-A. Okay, any other questions or comments for Leanne? No? Very good, then we'll move along to the library director's report. As Lisa Maston is not here, I'm going to assume that Karen Benner will be presenting.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. So this is obviously a joint report. So the library continued to be open for browsing and public computer use by appointment. We say that it's by appointment, but we do have, I mean, probably the majority of the people coming in to use the computers are walk-ins, and that's working out fine. We added some seating back in towards the end of October. There's some in the quiet study area, and we have some in like individual areas in the library. For instance, there are a few chairs in the magazine room, a couple under the atrium. So we're kind of status quo with that. That was a change at the end of the month, and we're going to continue to see how things go. As we all know, Newington is still in the orange, so people still are filling out the COVID screening sheets and still wearing masks, required to wear masks when they enter the building. On October 25th, we did expand our hours. So now we're open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 8, and Saturday all day 10 to 5, and beginning yesterday, Sunday, 1 to 4. We're still offering regular curbside service for those patrons. We do have some patrons that are still not comfortable coming into the building, so we are offering those during the regular business hours. We are not offering curbside hours on Sunday, really just due to the fact that it's such a short time, and and staffing. We just don't have enough staff to manage that. So speaking of Sundays, the first Sunday was pretty smooth. We think we had somewhere maybe around 50 patrons over the 3 hours. The one of the big problems was parking. So I'm just going to tell you this, and I don't believe that it's going to be a problem, at least for the rest of the winter, but there was flag football at the fields on Mill Pond. And when I pulled in at about 12:30, the entire library lot was filled along with the entire Garfield lot. And it remained that way, or a slight variation of that. And I think I left a little bit before 3. And when staff left at 4, we had maybe 2 or 3 spots in the library lot. So there were some spots out in front of the library, but obviously, you know, that's not a good situation or an acceptable situation. I did speak with Parks and Rec today, and they told me that that was the last flag football for the season, and that they didn't have anything on the schedule right now for the winter. I think things start back up in the spring. So, you know, I know we've talked about this before. This has been kind of an ongoing thing. So we just want to sort of put it out there as something that, you know, we need to try to find a solution to before, you know, the fields start being used again. Yes, Leanne?
Is it possible, and I don't know if it is, because technically that upper lot is supposed to be for library use. And now that we potentially are open on Sundays and will conflict with stuff over there. I'm assuming the lot at Town Hall is usually less congested on a weekend?
Yes, very much so. And
Is there a way for us to have Parks and Rec ask their people who are utilizing the fields and things like that they park there?
That's what we're hoping for. Yes.
Okay.
So we now have, going back to inside the building, we now have, we've expanded our computer use. So we have 10 public internet stations available. We had, I think, maybe 4 the last time we spoke. So IT completed their electrical wiring. The computers are housed in the new furniture that is allowing for people to socially distance well. So it's really great. It doesn't look like pre-pandemic, but it looks a little bit livelier, you know, with some of those computer station people at them, and it's been pretty, been doing a pretty good business with the computers. So that's really good. It's good for us. It's good for the patrons. I did want to mention this ongoing situation with the Wi-Fi hotspots that were purchased through funds received from the Hartford Foundation. So I think we had reported last time that we had received them. They were not all uniform. There was one that was damaged. There were some that were refurbished. We did receive the replacements. We're having some difficulty getting the vendor to activate those so that we can test them out and get them out. So please know that we are working on it. We realize this is a priority. We want to get these things out to the public. It's just been a bit of a process. So we'll keep you posted on that. And we also wanted to mention, I think one of the things that came out of the brainstorming session, I think that Lisa Jones was running, was a program, a software called Stack Maps. And staff was going to do some research, and we did. And for those of you that don't know what it is, it's an integrative software program that gives patrons the ability to physically locate an item using like the library floor plan, like a map. It looks like a great product. It was incredibly expensive. So we've kind of put that to the side. The first year was over $14,000. So looks like a good product, but it's, you know, not feasible. So we are still looking to implement wireless printing. That was something that we had started looking into pre-pandemic. So, you know, maybe that's something that we can kind of switch gears to. Let's see, in building news, the library roof is finally being replaced. So we spoke with our facilities director on Friday. The project, they dropped off their materials this morning. The project is actually starting tomorrow morning. So it's most of the shingled areas of the roof that are being done, as well as the membrane. The only area that is not being done is that back portion that faces the abuts the backyard of the neighbors. I'm not really explaining this well, but yeah, because that had been done more recently. So they think they're going to complete the project within the week. So, you know, we'll see how it goes, but we're excited about that. I think you also knew that a new irrigation system is being installed in the lawn area next to the parking lot. That is being worked on this week as well. They were here early this morning. Let's see. In personnel news, our digital services librarian, Victoria Bottaro, gave her notice. So her last day was November 5th. So her position was posted internally first per the AFSCME contract. We did not have any applicants. So the position has now been posted for part-time staff, and the posting closes on November 17th. So this is a full-time librarian 1 position that is now open. It was Jen Hebert's 2 jobs ago, if that helps clarify anything. So,
and what's the name of the position again?
It's a digital services librarian.
Digital services librarian. Okay.
Yeah. So
and can you spell Victoria's?
Yes, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. So Victoria, her last name is Buttaro. And her last day was last Friday, November 5th.
This is Andy Brecker. Karen, did it surprise you that you didn't have any internal candidates that were interested?
Not really, Andy. You know, it is an entry-level librarian 1 position. We have 2 others that were librarian 1s as well, but those positions are unfunded right now. So most of the staff, the full-time staff working, are at least librarian 1s or above that.
I was thinking more of a part-timer who might wanted to ascend to full-time.
Yes, that's who it's open to now.
Oh, okay.
And I believe we will have some interest from part-time staff. Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. We are expecting to receive budget instructions in the next few weeks, but we have already been told that we will be looking at a 0% increase for that.
That's okay. 0% should still keep Sunday hours in because we've got them now.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Does anyone else have questions for Karen on her combined director and assistant director report? No. Nice job, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we're excited about the Sunday hours now. If we can only find a place for them to park, that would be good. Okay, Friends of the Library, Sheila.
Hi, we have actually been pretty busy. On the 26th of October, we had our last book sale, outdoor book sale of the year. And that was very well received. We had a lot of people there. and made the most of the 3 book sales we've had out there outside. We made the most on that one. And had a lot of people that even took double bags of books, which was great. And then yesterday we had our last donation day. And we had a lovely group of high school students that were volunteering to help us, which was great. They were a lot of fun to have around too. And that went off very well. We have a lot of stuff to pack and to get ready and downstairs and in the container, but that worked out really well. So we were really happy with that. And I think at this point, we're looking to see what we can do inside. We're kind of trying to expand what we're doing in the Friends Corner to get more, be selective and get a lot of our new donations of the newer books and stuff up, so we can kind of expand some of the sales up there.
Great, thank you, Sheila. I know I went to the outdoor book sale and it was very well run, nicely done, and you couldn't have asked for better weather, which I think helps with the turnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Any questions for Sheila or the Friends in general?
I just wondered if, I know last month you had said you were kind of on hold in terms of how you were focusing on your fundraising, what with Winterfest on hold. I wondered if there were any thoughts about springtime.
We're working on it. We're trying to get together and do some planning and again, seeing what we can come up with. We're definitely planning to do something, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Okay. So that was from Leanne. Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate that. And next we'll move into the committee reports, budget report. I think we have pretty much what's there. Leanne, I think I have you down as committee chair for budget report, but I think Karen has approached that.
I think Karen's got it all set to, we can't do anything until we're actually, in the works. And if it's a 0 budget, I'll be honest with you, our involvement as the trustees really is more of a, well, we don't have as much involvement because the library staff is right there with their, they're into the nuts and bolts and nitty gritty details. So, I will talk to folks in the office and I will let the committee know what's going on when I know.
Okay, great. And I think most important is for us to know when it comes up in front of town council. And I know usually the budget chair and certainly Dave Nagel has been great in keeping us apprised of the schedule there.
Yep.
Okay. PEP, Planning, Evaluation and Policy, Laurel Goodgen.
Yes, the PEP committee has scheduled a meeting for November 30th. So we can begin working on revising the policies we have for handling public concerns about materials in the collection, and also developing a selection policy and a deselection policy. So that's November 30th that we'll be meeting in person.
Great. I have a quick question. So you said the public's concerns about the materials, is it just handling the materials or what materials we have available?
It's what the library approach is when a member of the public wishes to make comments about materials in the collection. It could be a book or a DVD, whatever, and how the library should respond to that. There needs to be a standard policy for that.
Great. Does anyone else have questions for Laurel? Leanne, I see your hand up.
Well, I have a question and I don't know if it's necessarily for Laurel or if it's for Karen. The Association of Connecticut Library Board in their most recent newsletter was talking about the Connecticut State Library's Digital Inclusion and Digital Equity Initiative. And it's, from just kind of putting it all together, very oversimplifying, it's primarily to be able to bridge the digital divide that occurs older folks versus kids who are in school, that kind of thing. And of course, COVID has kind of exaggerated that potential program. It's talking about different things that I think lawmakers are going to require us to do. And I wondered, maybe Karen, you're seeing some of that in terms of what they're going to require from us?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there is a meeting coming up that at least somebody from the library is going to be involved with, or with somebody from CLA. So I will check into that a little bit further.
I'm just wondering what they're anticipating, what we need to do, because I'll be honest with you, when I read through the article, my eyes started to glaze over, and I wasn't quite, there's a lot of legalese in there in terms of what, you know, a lot of the generalizations. And if we have to implement policies, obviously that's where I thought PEP might fall into place.
I don't know the answer to your question, but I will find out.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Laurel, thank you for getting going on those meetings. I know it's been a rough couple of years, so I appreciate you making the times and to get going on some of those meetings. So it's very much appreciated. Next up would be investment with Neil Ryan.
Diane, just for a note, I do have Iris on attendees and I've tried pulling her over, but unfortunately she's not coming over yet. So she is there though.
Okay, so I did just get a text from her. She's in finally.
Yep. I can't pull her over to panelists. I keep prompting her on the screen. She just needs to say yes. Oh, I think.
There she is. Okay.
Good.
Welcome, Iris.
Thank you.
Finally. Yep. So we're at the investment report area and we're asking Neil to give his report now.
Yep, I see it.
Neil? Do I see Neil?
I think we lost Neil.
Okay.
We did.
Yeah, it looks like we lost him. He was on earlier. So I'm not sure if he's having internet issues. So we will skip over investment for now and see if he can come back on.
He's coming back in right now. Just hasn't connected anything yet.
Diane, point of order, don't we have to do Iris's report?
Secretary report?
Yeah.
I'll come back.
No report.
Okay, thank you, Iris. That filled in that moment.
Thank you.
Still nothing from Neil.
Neil, are you there? We're ready for the investment committee report.
See him.
I can see him on the screen. Neil, what I'm going to do is give a chance for the technology to catch up with us, and I'm going to go forward with the House report, and then we'll go back to you. So House committee report, we do have our annual walkthrough scheduled for Saturday, November 13th. As you know, once upon a time, we opened this up to the full board to walk through the library and see what was going on. With COVID, that's not really something that I'm comfortable doing, having everybody go through the library together. So we're going to limit participation to the House committee unless there is someone else that has a dire need. I do believe that with the browsing, if you're just interested in seeing, you know, some of the changes firsthand that have happened in the library and updates, you can certainly go through. For those of you who haven't been on a House committee tour or you haven't been on one in a long time, it's not only the public areas, but it's also the private areas that we go through to see what's happening and what's going on. And then at the end of that, we get a spreadsheet that reviews everything we've looked at, items that we've pointed out that need to be fixed, repaired, upgraded, and then we try to assign responsibilities, whether it's something that the board would take care of, staff would take care of, or if it's something that the town might fund or put in their areas. So on the 13th, I will send out an invite for the House Committee. And I will tell you, quite frankly, the first 4 people to get back to me that say that they're going are in. The others are not. So that would allow the 3 folks from the library staff, Carolyn, Karen, and Lisa, to go through with myself as the chair of House, and a few other people from House Committee to see what's happening and what's going on from that end. We would meet at 9 o'clock at the back door. We would wear masks the entire time we're in the library. So
This is Neil Ryan. My computer went out of power for a few minutes. I just came back, so I'm not sure if you went by the investment committee report and I wasn't here or what, but I'm back.
So we're gonna, yes, we see that you're back, Neil, and we're gonna cycle back to you when I.
Okay, good enough.
Report. Thank you.
Diane, I'm sorry to do this, but Andy Brecker, I've unfortunately multitasking here and I have a conflict, so I need to leave the meeting now, but I will look forward to seeing the minutes. I know I want to catch up with Lisa and Anna on projects they're working on. So I apologize once again. And I guess I will see you all together next month.
Great, thank you.
6th, yes. Take care, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. So for that annual walkthrough, if you are interested, certainly send me an email and we'll go through that. But we will be sharing the information with everyone. And again, as I said, because the library is open for browsing, please feel free, if you pop into the library, to go up and see the changes that were done in the children's area, the new carpeting. You know, you can certainly take a walk through and see what's happening from that area. And that's all I have on the House Committee at this point. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, or suggestions?
Neil Ryan, I'm sorry, I apologize for this, but before I lost power, I just wanted to ask Karen, during her report, she mentioned that the town COVID is at I think the orange level this week. Is that?
I don't know what we are. I mean, the numbers will come out on Thursday, the updated numbers, but I believe as of last week, we were, and have been for the last maybe 3 weeks or something. I know we were in yellow a few weeks back, and then
right. I think our last meeting, we're in the yellow category. Yeah. Do the numbers come out like say every Thursday? Is that what you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, every Thursday between I think 3 and 4 in the afternoon.
Cool. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we did try to have this meeting in person in the community room, but it was deemed not appropriate yet with the color coding or our COVID status as that goes through. So any other questions on House? Okay, I don't see any. So Neil, we're going to cycle back to you for investment committee at this point.
Okay. I mailed the report out yesterday, and as you can see, October was a very good month for our portfolio. For the month, we were up $22,769.10, which is nice because that just about makes up what we lost in September. So anyway, as of October 31st, Halloween 2021, our portfolio stands at $802,799.57. So that puts us at a percentage return of 7.67% on the year. So that's where our portfolio stands. And like I said, we made up pretty much everything we lost in September with a very good October. And so we've had a good year, and there's only, well, 2 months left. And the portfolio has held up very well this year. That's it. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Nope.
Any questions for Neil? We'll give folks a moment here. Okay, Neil, it looks like no questions. It's always helpful when the reports come out earlier. So I appreciate that. Appreciate when they're mailed out.
Do what I can.
Okay, facility and site, Maureen Lyons. Maureen was not able to be here today, and I know that she has not held a meeting. And I don't believe the things that we were working on in terms of a possible gazebo or things like that have any new information. I'll check in briefly with Leanne and with Lisa Jones. Leanne?
I did speak to Steve last week. He's been flat out. He said he would try and get the numbers to me by today, but he was not. I will tell you from reading the meeting minutes, and I was not present at the last meeting, what we're talking are basically 2 gazebos. One at the back, which would be a smaller platform that would be outside, back where the stacks are behind the where the Friends trailer is. That would be more of a platform for programming, and then we could put chairs on the lawn. It also would facilitate if possibly we were to put an addition out in that direction. That wouldn't be a huge undertaking to remove. The larger gazebo would be toward the front. We're talking about screening for sound, would accommodate probably 25 to 30 people. Both would have Wi-Fi, electric, etc. Steve is preparing the numbers for me. It's not going to be a cheap proposal, but I guess I'm looking at it from this viewpoint. We have a lot of money that we could potentially put toward this. It's not enough to put an addition on, but if we can expand the facility, particularly in these COVID times, in a way that would engage people, attract people to the library, and offer more space, whether it would be for meeting space or program space, I think we want to consider it. So I will do the best to get the numbers together. The other thing that I would also like to look for in this is that I know the town has engaged, and I don't know a great deal about it, but I know the town has engaged a grant, a person for writing grants and things like that. And this is the type of thing in the research that I've been doing that towns are receiving grants for. So I think that this would be something that, in addition to our own funding, I think we as a board, and again, I'm really not, that I'm a real novice in terms of grants, but I think it's something we should investigate for potentially financing this, because I really, from what I'm hearing, I think this could be a really good project for us in terms of visibility from the front and from the back. It would expand our programming ability for at least 5 months of the year. So that's what I have on that. I do apologize for not having the numbers, but because Steve is doing it for us gratis, I can't push too hard.
Yeah. He's the best friend this library's ever had, Steve Woods. I swear.
I mean, you know, and what's nice about it, he has a lot of the planning and zoning.
Exactly.
It's all in his head, so that when we met, he was telling us what's feasible, what's not, what's doable, and everything we're talking about doing is feasible and workable, as long as we find the financing and go forward.
We would still have to go through the actual planning and zoning stage as well.
Oh, we still have to do that, but at least we know we're not we're not coming up to big red X right away, you know.
This is Lisa Jones. So Liam, what, as far as the grant component of it, how would, I'm just, because I don't know, what would the next steps be in getting a grant proposal?
We have to have a more solid proposal before we can go to grant. But what I'm hoping to do is, once Steve develops that, he also, part of his proposal was to provide me with some guidance as to what we can do as a board to come up with something that's more of a solid plan, a solid proposal. So then we can go out and start looking for that. And if we can then in turn go to the grant portion of it, this is what we're trying to fund. It makes things go, and again, this is my understanding, that it makes things go a lot smoother if you've got more of a concrete plan than just a nebulous idea in terms of facilitating and obtaining these grants. So, but I do think that if the town has this person who writes grants, obviously they're 100 yards ahead of me in terms of 100 years ahead of me in terms of doing it. But I would think then we could get some guidance, but we need to firm up what we're doing first. And I was hoping to come to you with dollars. I don't want any of you to fall off your chair when I tell you that Steve is estimating that we're talking, it's going to be, if not $100,000, at least close to that, to do this kind of work. You're talking major electrical work, pouring pads, and the structure itself. But again, we can't build an addition, but could we expand our footprint? Yes, we could in this regard.
Okay. Yeah, Leanne, so as I've said before, if there's anything that I can do to help support this, let me know. If you, next steps, if you get the proposal from.
And I will do that. I couldn't go any farther without Steve's input.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea about the grant proposal. I think that's, and then we can think about using those funds for expanding our COVID kind of footprint, as you said. That would be a good thing.
Well, I don't think in the coming years, although I hope COVID goes away and never raises its ugly head again, I do think that we're going to be dealing, even if we're to go away tomorrow, it's kind of like Karen was saying, having people who just still don't want to come into the library. I think the mindset of our patrons is going to take a lot longer to change.
Agreed.
Than perhaps the disease itself.
Totally agree. I think that's the kind of thought process I think we need to do if we think about any kind of updates to the library related to similar to what Karen was talking about with the updates based on how they're doing the computer, not a computer lab, but the computer stations. And I think that's I think that anything that we think about, whether from an expansion or from just, as you said, expanding our footprint outside, I think that we need to make sure that we are thinking about the idea about how COVID protocols are important to people these days.
Good, thank you, Lisa. Anna, Eddie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I have my hand up. So I, not so much questions, but just observations on my part. I mean, the idea of the gazebo has been bantered about, and I know that Maureen and Leanne and the other members of facility and site have been working on it, but we still don't even know what we're doing with the expansion, where that is all going to go. I would hate to see us put something up and then find out that we would have to move it. I'm also concerned about spending $100,000 before we even know what we have to spend for an expansion, or if we even move into a direction of getting ourselves prepared for an expansion, because that's going to be costly too. So if, and I do like the idea of, seeking grant money, but if that all falls through, maybe this gazebo idea can get folded into the bigger picture of the expansion when we know exactly where things are going to go.
I don't disagree with you, Anna. What we're trying to do here is to kind of think in the short term and the long term. The facility that we're talking about putting up in the front of the building, if we were to do a typical expansion, what the thinking would be is we would go out toward the parking lot side, not toward the front of the building. So the larger structure would most likely not be impacted. It would be the smaller structure that would be impacted. Whether it goes forward or not, we still have to have, whether we fund it or we get a grant for it, we still have to have pricing. So that is important. And obviously nothing's going to go forward until the board evaluates this. We just want to have a more concrete idea out there for everyone to consider.
Okay.
So this is Diane again. I think that is a very good point. We are not looking at this instead of an expansion. We're looking at how to continue to bring services to our community with some of this indoor restrictions that we have, but not necessarily put that in place and say, okay, so now we have a couple of picnic tables outside underneath an awning and, we don't need an expansion anymore. So I just want to be very clear on that. This is not to replace an expansion. And we can't make decisions without having some facts and figures. So we're really in a fact-finding place now, and that's where we're going. And we'll see what it brings. Any other questions or thoughts on that?
Sounds good. Just need, Diane, your explanation, discussion of the issue was perfect.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, I don't see any other hands up, so we'll move on to fund development with Anna Eddy.
Myself back on again, sorry about that. So right now, the fund development, my focus is updating the race sponsor material, because we will be pitching the sponsors on Giving Tuesday, and I think our documents are a little dated at this point, and trying to refresh them. So I sent some materials out to a couple people on the board that have been giving me feedback and have been working with me. And once I have those updated again, I will send them out separately to everybody, so they can have an idea of what's going on with that. Let's see, what else? Oh, one thing leads to another sometimes. So I was on the website on the Legacy Society pages, and I noticed that a number of them don't have links to the, they don't have a donor button on them. And there were a couple pages where it would be key to have buttons there. So I did up a little list and sent it to Lisa, and when she has a little spare time, hopefully she can get to those. It's not anything that's critical, but it's some of the pages are a little bit boring and need to be beefed up. And and the other thing I wanted to ask, well, no, I'll bring it up under race sponsors. That's all right. So so that's it for fund development. And fund development is 3 people. It's myself and Neil and Diane. So if anybody else has an interest in helping to expand our horizons, and not necessarily assist with the money, but assist with things like reviewing the web pages or just providing input, be happy to have you join us. My little pitch.
Ideas are always good.
Yes.
Any questions or thoughts? No.
No.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Neil. Nominations, no report at this time. It's not the appropriate time of year. And then we'll move right into communications with Lisa Jones.
Hey, everyone. I wanted to let you know that I finally made my meeting with Karen Brenner. That was I finally did. And I'm sorry, Benner and Kim Rada, related to collaboration between the Friends, library, and the board. And what we talked about was really a more coordinated effort with, first of all, approving communications, probably to start off with timing, then approval of communications, and then about when we were going to be able to actually execute on the communications, so deliver them. Really developing protocols around timing and messaging, and also the approval. And Karen and Lisa Maston are encouraged us to ensure that we had all of our communications approved, or at least vetted through them. Not necessarily to say, yes, this is a good communication or not, but really more in the spirit of collaboration and making sure that we're all working and working together and looking at the documentation. And I think the other piece was timing, that we need to have an understanding of what timing needs are. So I am actually documenting for the 3 of us the information that, or a timing proposal that would work for the library staff, for Friends, or for the board as we look to submit communications either through footnotes or through email, any kind of correspondence or communication that we have. So really just trying to figure out, how do we get that information and get it done well, so we're not taxing the library staff. I also offered on our behalf that if there ever was a time that we needed to jump in and help out, that Karen should feel free to talk to any one of us on the library board, and I'm sure that we could rally the troops and get someone to help and coordinate some of that. So the outcome of that is really, we want to set some protocols around timing, approval, or collaboration, and understanding what those communications are on a regular basis. So that was one. Also, we talked about the use of logos and protocols around the use of a logo or taglines, or whether it be Friends or color of the logos, that sort of things. Did we have things that were important for everyone to know as they develop communications, so that we would have that documented? I know from a past life that, the colors were numbered and that we needed to ensure that we use the same color, font size, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure that we want to get that strict about it, but we should really think about what are all the logos, and that we're consistent in our communication efforts. So we are going to meet on a regular basis, as well as the communication committee. So as Pauline mentioned, that we'll have a communications meeting to actually talk about, Diane, I think you mentioned that you asked of us is to develop the goals of the communications team as we go forward. And I think that this was one step in ensuring that we talked about, how do we get consistency amongst these three groups? And then also, what do we want to do is related to expansion, and how do we want to make sure that we're all consistent facing out to the public, or to the town council, or to the business community, or whoever our audiences may be. So that really was the communications update. As far as that meeting, one of the things that, as a result of the planning session, had been asked if we could summarize the Library Solutions Development 2017 assessment. And I have completed that, and I sent it out to both Andy and Anna just as a vetting process and making sure I was looking at the right things. So I'm incorporating their responses and feedback. It's about an 18-page document, which is still lengthy, but it actually summarizes the information on our visioning session that we had. So it allows us to see some of those great ideas that we had all come up with. And one of them is the outside ideas that we had. And also the summary actually of the findings and recommendations of LDS, Library Development Solutions. And then a piece on pandemic protocols. So some of the things that Karen Benner had mentioned was the idea of the stack maps, also, the concierge desk, some of the other computer, ensuring that we have computer and internet services as a COVID protocol. So looking at some of those. So that is summarized in this document. So more to come. I should have it done in the next few days. By the end of this week, actually, is my goal to send out to the board. This is probably something that we just want to keep as a board document for the time being. But then as we look at it, get feedback, and we go through and talk about where do we want to take the next steps for this, then I think that we probably need to think about what are the outside of this group do we want to share with the public. Next steps, so to speak. And then lastly, the follow-up from the planning sessions were, Leanne, you mentioned one, I mentioned the other. about being, so Leanne had the outdoor space, I had the feasibility study rework. There was the stack maps that Karen had mentioned, the ideas of a concierge program or concierge service, which I think that Karen, you and Lisa had talked about, roving reference desks, and then improving the library communication and develop a communication plan. And that's what that meeting last Friday was. So those were the outcomes. Those were our short-term wins from that planning session. I just wanted to make sure that we followed up on those. So it looks like we're moving forward on most of those. And that's
Great,
it.
thank you. Thank you, Lisa. A lot of work involved there. Any questions for Lisa, her team? No? Good, thank you. Okay, we'll move into old business, the library 5K challenge. We got the final results from Leanne earlier. Thank you. Just to mention that our next race will be going back to May, as that happens.
Yep.
Any questions or thoughts? I see Anna with her hand up. Go ahead, Anna.
Sorry to be a nuisance, but I have a question for Karen, and I'd be asking Maureen, but she's not here tonight. Did you receive the thank you letters from her that's supposed to be going to the sponsors?
No,
Not that I'm aware of, no.
no, she has not. Maureen and I spoke earlier, and part of the reason she's not here is she's flat out at business right now in her full-time job. And so when she mentioned that she couldn't make tonight's meeting, she also mentioned that she had not gotten to those yet, but she had not forgotten.
All right, well, actually, that might work out to our benefit, because as I was reviewing things for preparing for this Giving Tuesday, I came across it was a PowerPoint certificate, a really pretty certificate. And maybe what we can do is do the certificate and a very short letter to go out with this as a cover with the certificate, and we're done with it. But they need to get something. It's been a month.
Right.
So,
why don't you and I review that, and I'll reach out to Maureen. I don't want her to get started on something if we're going to change it up, but I agree with you. We need to get the thank yous out. And I think she's just right now a little bit, her schedule is overwhelmed.
Yeah, she also, she had reached out to me and told me that she was
drowning.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Okay.
Drowning. The other thing I started on doing was a task list for the race. I think it's important for us to identify all the things that need to be done. We take it for granted, you know, this is going to be done, that's going to be done. And we, it's for those who are relatively new to the board, it is not the library's race. It is the trustees' race. And we should be taking the lead and doing more hands-on and not leaving it to staff to be doing a lot of the task. And I think that if we identify those things and have it listed, it'll be easier to assign those tasks. And, not that there aren't things that Lisa and Karen and others can't do or won't have to do, but will always need their hands on. But I think there's other stuff that, we can do to take some weight off. Yeah,
I
freeze
think
them
an
up.
outline with the timing is important. And the timing could not only have dates, but maybe, 6 months before, 4 months before, 3 weeks before, as we walk through that. I think that would be very beneficial as we move forward. Just case in point, last year, it was very hard to try to stay on track with the different timing on the calendar. So I always know what we're doing in April. It was hard to figure out what I was doing in September. So this is a month, right now what I have is a month by month. So if we ever had to change again, it would be easy to change the names of the month. Not that I ever want to go back there again, because, we're going to be, this year we're going to be asking for money in the same year that they already gave the money. So, that just makes it,
we're kind of like stepping over each other, and hopefully they'll understand. Yeah, so I have something I've started, so I can send it out to the entire board and just start collecting input, and we can build on it.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And all right, so that's that, and I have something else for old business. Do you want me to bring it up?
Hold on.
That's
Not
not
yet.
race
Leanne
related.
has her hand up. Leanne?
Okay.
This may have been covered in October when I wasn't present at the meeting. I just wondered what the thoughts were about the venue that we had. Having been in the upper parking, up on Mazzucali Way, I personally liked that setup so much better in terms of having the announcements outside, not being inside a gymnasium and what have you. I grant you, we have a new gymnasium and auditorium, et cetera, over across the street at Town Hall, where we previously had been in the old Mortensen Center. That is something that not only Karen usually handles for us, but we have to get on the rolls with Parks and Rec if we're going to move back inside. And I know it seems like it's forever away, but it's really not. We're talking 7 months from now. So I think we need to decide if we're going to be inside or out.
Neil, Ryan,
Go ahead, Neil.
Leanne, in response to your question, I think the general feedback from the board and everyone else was that we were very happy with the venue as far as the way the waste was handled.
I like it being outside personally. I just wanted to know because typically we have to pay them a deposit and reserve the room.
No, I think the general feedback was very positive as far as the location. That's my understanding.
Well, then I won't be looking for paying them a deposit then, if that's the consensus. All right, thank you.
Okay, so I see a couple of hands up. I'm going to go to Lisa Jones.
Anna, this is directed towards you again. Yes, Lisa Jones. Anna, just, so you're thinking about it, and I know you and I've had an opportunity to speak about this a bit, is how does the communications team support all of the outreach or communications for the race, so that kind of takes that piece of it off your plate, and so to speak, and we can just report back. I'm speaking on behalf of me.
Yeah, you were front and center on my timeline. No worries
Okay.
there.
All right, there you go.
Leanne brought up a good point. I mean, I thought that the venue, the setup was great. I mean, the Tilcon truck was fabulous. It was nice and open, and it was easy to move around and see where everybody was. But what if it rains? We need to have a good backup plan if it rains, because if it rains, none of that is going to, being outside isn't going to be a good scenario.
Right. So 2 points. One, Karen, I would just ask, were there any issues with having that amount of people at the race? I think we ended up with 180 plus using, the restrooms and stuff in the library. Were we able to accommodate them?
It was fine. Yep, we had somebody, well, as you know, stationed at the door there, and it was fine.
Okay, so we weren't in a situation where we had more than we could handle okay. And then the other thing, yes, is the rain. And if we had a gazebo, maybe we could do the announcements from there. But again, these are just things that we have to think about. Yes, what happens? Do we have a backup plan? Again, many people said that they loved being outdoors, and we were gifted finally with some beautiful weather and some good luck. So runners run in rain, but their family doesn't like to hang around and stand out in the rain and wait for them. So something to think about or take into consideration. It certainly was less expensive not to have to pay for the use of a gym. Excuse me. Any other comments on that?
Neil, and it's a quick question. I apologize to ask this question, but do we have the date for next year's race? May?
It's the third week in May, and you're going to make me give a date out when I've been messing those up all year.
I do that.
Excuse
Third
me.
Saturday would be the 21st.
It's a Sunday. Always
Okay,
a Sunday.
22nd. Great. Okay, thank you.
It's on the 22nd. The third Sunday would be the 15th, no?
Nope, you're correct. Sorry about that. The first falls on a Sunday.
15th, okay. May 15th. 22. Thank you. That's it.
The
Okay.
only thing I would say then is if we're going to have a backup plan, if we're going to be outside, that we have to consider and maybe by next meeting decide whether we want to reserve that gymnasium just in case. Plan for one, hope for the best and plan for the worst.
Well, I think the first thing that we have to do is figure out if the gymnasium were to be available, what would be the pricing?
Well, we have to find that out too. That's true.
And that should come with parking. Yep, thank you. Next up on the situation is, yes,
I know.
go ahead,
There's
Anna.
There's an old business item here. I just want to bring up the Friends Liaison. The schedule as part of one of the, the end of the committee reports. So Neil and I and yourself were in that column on the committee reports. Their meetings are starting and I assigned myself to the first one. And I have another, I have a document I can send to Neil and myself. Sheila, if you could get somebody to send me the dates, because on the website, it only has the dates to the end of the year. That would be helpful. All right, Sheila's nodding her head yes.
I can read
Thank
what
you.
she said. She'd forward it to you.
Okay, perfect. And but if there's anybody else on the board who has not attended one of the Friends meetings, it is informative and it gives you a perspective that you don't have just hearing about the Friends. So I'd be glad to put you into the rotation, or you could even tell me what month you want to go and we can accommodate you. So,
Anna, please put me in the rotation.
Thank you, Laurel.
one time, or do you want to be in a regular rotation, Laurel?
Regular rotation would be fine.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
And you have
All right.
me, Anna. This is Lisa Jones.
No, I don't have you. Neat. No, okay. So that would be great. And, many hands make light work, right? So thank you so much.
I believe.
Please send us the dates.
I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ladies, for volunteering. Neil, thank you for always being a part of that.
My pleasure.
I just called you out because you probably wouldn't identify with the ladies there.
Labor of love.
Open board positions, we do still have some town appointed open board positions, both Democratic and Republican. So if you are out and about and talking, if we've got people that are available and interested in serving on our board, please have them reach out to their committee chair. That's the way that things move forward. But certainly if they had any questions about what it was to be on the board or anything, Laurel Goodgen is head of PEP, or any of us on the board would be happy to speak with folks. Christine, I know you have a cold, so you can just shake your head, but I thought I saw your hand up earlier and I don't know if we missed you and you wanted to say something or if someone covered it. Did you?
Yes, I had two things, and I guess it goes under new business. But
Okay.
one of them, in the minutes, I saw that Anna had mentioned about the name badges. And when I talked about that, I meant not just for the race, but for all events in which we attend. Because we could be anybody there. And I think the public needs to know who the board members are at an event. Like,
Right.
I could have been anybody standing behind that table. Right? If there was an issue and they had questions, they should be able to say, that person with that name tag is somebody I should talk to.
Right.
I would be happy to look into the cost and bring it back to the
Great.
next. The other thing, excuse me, is the minutes to be presented to the board a week after the meeting, because if you don't attend, you'd have no idea, unless you're chit-chatting with somebody, what happened at the board meeting until 2 days before the meeting. And at usually any business thing that I've been to, anything, within a week, you get a copy of the minutes. So I'm wondering if that's something we could do, or within 2 weeks, something, so that, you know, the members can be more in the know than 2 days before what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll work with Elizabeth on scheduling and the turnaround time, and we'll work with library staff, because you're right, they normally send it out with the agenda items, and that gives us about a week to review it. So if we could get those ahead of time, that would be helpful.
Right. Just the minutes themselves to be sent separately.
Right.
Is all I'm asking for. The rest of it, you can't really have it until close to, you know.
Right. And to that point, I would encourage every chairperson to, whenever possible, submit something in writing. It'll just make it a lot easier for folks to follow up. It'll make it easier for recording purposes for us to actually have the report. And then we really have to just track the comments and conversation around the reports. So appreciate that. Thank you, Christine. The Town of Newington 150th anniversary. Does anybody have any information on that? Dave, I saw you come off mute with your hand up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just that the group has decided on Christmas ornaments, plastic Christmas ornaments. They all will be the same and say 150th Newington anniversary. I don't know the details about the cost or anything else beyond that, and that's the only new information I know.
Oh, do you know how you would get them?
They were working on that, and I don't see my wife at the moment, so
Okay.
I can't ask her. But just let me go offline with you or for a moment or two, and I will find out, and you can go on with whatever else you need to.
Super, thank you.
Dave,
Okay.
I have a question, Leanne. This is Leanne. Are they still planning on the ball or whatever they're calling it?
Yes, they are.
And this is just throwing it out there, kind of like throwing something at the wall and see what sticks. Whether it be the Friends fundraiser or I think our race is relatively close. I don't know if we want to try and tie into that, because I know they're doing a delay into what would be our 151st year instead of our 150th for in terms of the event, but it might be something we could maybe piggyback on. Might be worth considering, that's all.
Okay. And our race is the 25th race this year, our 25th annual race.
Next year.
In May, yep. The upcoming race. Okay, good thoughts. New business. Anybody have anything to bring up for new business?
No, just the town is looking good for its age. I want to add that in regard to the discussion of the.
I hope that we all look this good at 150. Okay. James, is there anyone out there for public participation?
No, just Iris on the other side still.
Okay, yeah, I can see her. Iris, did you have any comments that you wanted to share at this point? I can't see your face, so sometimes it's hard for me to see if you had a comment.
No, no, I don't have anything to say.
All right, thank you. I'm glad you were able to get on this time, even if it's only with
Yeah.
voice.
Dave Nagel, I can give you a little update. They have no set date for the ball in the spring, but they do plan on still doing it. And anything having to do with the specifics at this point in terms of those Christmas ornaments would have to be referred to Frank Eleno, who is the chairman of the 150th anniversary committee.
Okay, is there a website or anything?
Let me ask. I don't know.
What was the name of who he said questions should be directed to?
Eileen Francolino.
Thank you.
Newington 150th anniversary on Facebook. My wife also informed me that it's out of date, so that's the best I can do for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
All right. Anything else? Any comments from anyone? Because I'm getting ready to ask for a motion for adjournment.
I do have Eileen's spelling of her name if she'd like it.
Thank you. Yes, that's always helpful.
Okay, Eileen is E-I-L-E-E-N and Francolino is F-R-A-N-C-O-L-I-N-O.
I could have gotten the Eileen. All right. I don't see any other hands raised or comments. So at this point, I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Please remember to state your name.
Laurel Goodgen, I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Chris
Thank you.
Shushan, second.
Christine seconds. Discussion, anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries, and before we leave, I just want to remind folks that our next meeting has been moved. Even though officially the 13th, the meeting will be canceled, it is being moved to Monday, the 6th, the week before. So we will see you then.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah.
in person.
And have you been sewing all night?
Yeah, I'm quilting.
It's good.
All right,
Multitasking.
Sheila, did you have something to add? No? Okay, then the meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your
Thank you,
time.
bye.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Have a time.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.